What's up, everybody? Chris Harris here from Sample Spotlight, and today we will be checking out Fluffy Audio's Rinascimento. Rinascimento features 29 gigabytes of content. There's over 36 Renaissance era instruments. There are 3 mic positions, close, mid, and far. There's 20 legato instruments total. This also features an auto strummer script for the the sustain and short articulations of the strummable instruments. It's for the full version of Contact version 5.5.2 and above, and it retails for $299. At the time that this video released, it is on an intro sale, so check that out. Okay, let's dive in. I've gone ahead and I've pulled up the Articulations, and this is the main patch that you'll see when anytime you load an instrument. One of the things I have to admire about this library is the artistry involved. They've included these drawings of all the different instruments. So for me, being I love music education, especially music history, and so I love that they included some historical information as well as a visual representation of the instrument, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so here's the main interface. You have control over the articulations, the microphone positions, and the reverb all on the main page. There's an auto strummer feature that's in a tab down below here, which unfortunately I cut out because I wanted to give the most room here onto the screen. So it's just down here in the bottom left. Anyways, so this library in the auto strum, this is for like the single instruments here, and I'll show you just basically how that works. If you play a chord, let's see F minor here. It basically is kind of like an arpeggiator, which is great. So you can kind of add the velocity and kind of the back and forth strum capabilities of that. So they've included some presets here that you can choose from. There's also a save and load feature, so you can save presets and load them as needed. And you can control down and up strumming via key switches down below here. So really cool kind of feature to include in this. All right, so this was the Articulations, and you can see here the sustain patch articulation gives you full range here. Now, the other thing I really like about this library is the character. Let me quickly just talk about that. This has such a great... it evokes the Renaissance era very well. Now, there are libraries out there that have tons of these instruments in them, not necessarily all in one collection like this library. This seems to be the first that kind of has a well-rounded collection of Renaissance instruments that I've seen for Contact. But the character of those don't necessarily like evoke that kind of sound. So when I listened to the demos and I started playing through this library, I really kind of started feeling like that kind of sound, that emotional context. So that's something that's really cool. They've included fast chords and slow chords. These are actual strummed chords. Now, one of the downsides to this library is when you click to or key switch or click to a different articulation, the mapping stays the same for the sustains. The chords actually start at middle C, and you have, for an octave, you have major chords. And then the octave above that is minor. And that's it. So you just have major and minor, and it's spread over these 2 octaves here. So that was kind of, when you see down here, you're like, oh, I'm not getting anything. And it's like, oh, okay, there they are. That could be something that's easily fixed and update. With that said, I should also mention that this is actually an early release version of the library. So I've been using that for the review, and a lot of things have been updated. I don't have a full list of all of those changes, but the actual release version has made some tweaks. So there might be some bugs and stuff that you may experience in this review, most of which have been reported. So here's slow chords. Now these are more strummed. cool sound. I love when you can have like these kind of arpeggiated strums that can get you partially there. The slow chords work really well for slow type passages or cues. The fast chords are a little too like in time for me. I wish there was a little bit more a slight strum to them. So that's one thing. So let's move on. Let's check out the Baroque guitar. And here we have sustains, fast chords, slow chords, and strumming. So let's listen to the sustains here. So nice, nice tone with that. We have fast chords. These have a little bit more strum sound to them. And then here we have strumming. Now that's just like a one shot. Which works really well in conjunction with the fast chords. So you can key switch between strumming and fast chords to kind of do like a back and forth for an individual strum and then kind of a rhythmic strum. So that's pretty cool. Let's take a listen to the close mics by themselves. And then we have mid mics. And then far mics. Now we'll hear a little bit of a mix here. You can hear each mic has some like very drastically different character, which I love. So this really fits into any type of context when you think of the mix that you're working on. There are a ton of strummable instruments, which you can find on their website. I'm not going to go through each individual instrument because I don't want this to be a terribly long video. But I will pull up the Thorowo, if I said that right. And here we go. You may notice a slight audio artifact when I'm loading instruments. That is just a characteristic of screen capturing and recording. Recording and trying to load patches. It's something I've tried to remedy, but it's not anything in the library itself, and you don't hear that when you're loading. So. Again, the character that these evoke is so... It's interesting to me. I love that about it. The chords actually are an octave lower in this patch. So there's some consistency... there's some inconsistencies between patches when it comes to that. And one of the other things I've noticed, and will be apparent later in some other instruments, are inconsistencies in volume between articulations. So let's move on. Let's check out the recorders. I'm going to pull out the alto recorder. And this you'll get an idea here. We can go back behind the scenes. The legato, they have legato instruments, but they also have the ability to do modeled vibrato with it, which is interesting, as well as they have like individual vibrato patches. So you can control different aspects of the instrument. Now, behind the scenes, this looks a little daunting. It took me a little bit to kind of understand it, but you basically have control over the transition timings between in the legato intervals, which is kind of nice. They give you that all in the front end of the instrument, so you don't have to kind of go back on the back end for patches that are unlocked that allow you to do that. You also have control over different articulations here in the kind menu. You have the legato, you have polyphonic legato, and then you have, or sorry, just polyphonic sustain, and then you have instant, which is just the sustain. It's just one sustaining patch. Then from here you can control basically everything. The max time it takes here to the max time it takes there, coming out of the legato sample. So pretty nice. And then you have control over the release as well in terms of what's being played there. So pretty interesting back-end stuff. Definitely check out their website for more information, as well as the manual on how to control that. But we're just going to kind of play a little bit here. I'm going to pump the volume up a little bit. So again, nice sound there. Here's the staccatos. All right, as you can see, I'm just playing in some modal music here. All right, so you can also delete and add articulations that you want. And what you do is you basically go into the back end. You can control, I want this to be instant. And, we want tongued or staccato on that. Let's see, we want this to be, where is it? I guess it would be just a sustain. Yeah. And you can also set the key switch. So I'll just boom. So now we have that patched right there. So pretty interesting. We can do, let's just do staccato for the heck of it. We want staccato and polyphonic. Staccato, round robin 4. And then we'll set that to that key switch. There we go. So now we have C1 here, key switching a staccato. There's some other cool stuff you can do, and I'll show you in the strings later. Let's check out the bass recorder. Now you can hear there are dynamics. But there's also a setting here that the mod wheel controls vibrato and the vibrato rate. You can individually assign different CCs to these as needed by just clicking and dragging. There's also an instrument settings here, which gives you tuning options, dynamic range, velocity curve, etc. So that's nice. Again, all on the front end here. It's a good hall sound. There's a drop-down menu here that you can't see that they give you a ton of different options in terms of reverb settings. There's a soprano recorder as well and a sopranino recorder. I think I'm saying that. Yeah, the smaller, the super tiny one. There's a tabor pipe, a tenor recorder, and a traversiere, which I should definitely show this instrument. Okay, so here we have the traversiere, which is a traverse flute, and it's kind of that precursor to the modern flute that we are accustomed to in orchestral music nowadays. It definitely has that sound of a standard flute, but it's made out of wood, which has a nice, rich, warm tone to it, and a hollow sound, which is really nice. And add some reverb. Now, fast playing doesn't respond very well, but you can adjust back in the settings legato time and length to hinder or to allow you to play faster type passages. So that's really nice that they give you that capability. Okay, let's move on to the keys. Now, here's the main harpsichord patch. And again, my crappy playing is just atrocious today. All right, so there's your main harpsichord. You have the sustain articulations for that. They also have a positive organ, which I've heard about these and I've heard them before, but I have not used a sampled version, and I have to say I really like the sound of this. It's... So really cool sound there. There's a virginal here. Again, nice sound. Now they actually have a full organ. And sorry, I think with the screen capturing, I'm having there's some loading times here, and that for some reason when I'm not screen capping, these things load up a lot faster. So apologies for the somewhat lag in today's review. So the articulations here are much like a regular organ. You just click and select them to get the sound you want, and it's a full organ, so you can hear. Here's the main sound. add the octaves. Then we hear the 8842. We have the mezzo ripieno. And then we have the flute. And these are dynamically are very accurate. Then we have the cornetto. We have the trumpet. It's a fun sound. The Vox Humana, which is that kind of airy, voicey sound. And then we have the bass. And then the double bass. Now let's throw in some cool sound. I definitely like that. All right, let's move on here. Let's check out the reeds. Now, these aren't the most desirable sounding instruments, but the crumhorns. These are such a odd instrument. They've recorded a alto, bass, and tenor crumhorn, and they pretty much have this sound all around. So that's that instrument. Now they've done staccatos as well. And then moving from the crumhorns, we have the, I'm going to say this wrong, the chiaramello, I think, soprano. And you can hear this instrument. This is a double reed. And then we have the Zompagna. I'm not saying it. I'm This is like a bagpipe. As you can hear, this key switch right down here adds that little kind of ornament, which is nice because that kind of adds that kind of characteristic of this instrument. So it's great for performable patches. Let's move on from the reeds and check out the stringed instruments here. We have a Baroque violin. And the thing I'd say about this one is that it offers rebowing, which is in this G right here. So you can play normal. And then they've included polylegato, which actually, when you play any of the open strings, it basically plays them like a double stop, so you can play a melody over them, for instance. So you get the idea. That's a nice aspect of this as well. And staccatos. There's a hurdy-gurdy, which has some cool features as well. The first thing is you get the legato. And then they also have the this trumpet feature, which is pretty cool. That's the alternate legato. Now, this is kind of drone down here. And to start the trumpet sequence here, is this C right here, middle C. Now that sound is a characteristic of this instrument. It's kind of this buzz, and they've included basically the type of key that you want it to be in. So we're in the key of C right now. Now, one of the things you can do with this is you can basically change the sequence. And then you can change the rate. You can add a little humanization to it. Now, you can also set presets. which respond to these red keys, the black keys, the octave below middle C. Once you change something, let's see, now that's that preset. Let's do this one. It's there. It basically saves it automatically in that key switch. So you have basically 5 different presets that you can use. Which is great because you can just kind of sequence different rhythmic phrases and stuff with this, and then you set your pitch that you want. Let's go to A this time. I really like that that feature included. That I feel like this could be incorporated in a way into some of the other instruments as well. Now there's also a viola, which again this features the standard legato and then the rebowing. The rebowing is, there's velocity sensitivity to it. So nice sound there. That pretty much covers kind of the main instruments. Now I didn't go through all of them. Oh wait, there's percussion. They have a Renaissance percussion patch here. And sorry about that hang up. I don't know why. That could be the fact that this is not the final release copy, and there was some optimizations done prior to release. So anyway, so here's percussion. Each instrument has kind of their own little section down here. So you got individual hits, kind of a flam, a little bit of a rough. And these are mod wheel enabled rolls. And then pre-recorded rolls with releases on them. And then here you got kind of a mix of percussion. Like a tambourine kind of sound. I feel like these rolls need to have releases on them to get that kind of sound. These are kind of smaller percussion. So very standard kind of shell drums or shell-based drums that give you that kind of older sound, which is cool. Okay, so final thoughts. For the price, this library offers, again, 36 instruments that cover brass, winds, reeds, different types of keyboards, such as the organ and the harpsichord. They have the plucked strings, like the lutes, and there's also bowed strings, including a hurdy-gurdy. So I think in terms of what this library aims to do, it does very well. It has a very nice quality to it. I think there's some functionality, things that could be addressed, such as the mapping of the keys corresponding with the actual articulation that you've chosen. Some little things like releases being included. Some of the back end stuff is a little confusing. It's taken me a little bit to wrap my head around, like the legato functionality. There's just little things like that that could be addressed in a future update that I think would help make this library pop even more. But in terms of the sound and what this can produce, the demos that are kind of in context to the Renaissance period sound great. I've studied this music. Well, I used to, not anymore. But of what I've studied and whatnot, I think that they've tried to capture the characteristics of these instruments versus just, let's multi-sample the hell out of it and, get it to do everything that it can, modern instruments can do. And it's like, well, I kind of like the fact that this offers that sound and character and can get you there almost immediately and put you in that place. So, anyways, check it out. Again, it's Rinascimento from Fluffy Audio. And thanks for watching. Take care. And I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.